This broadcast is part of a fictional program. The station and events depicted are not real. This audio is created for narrative and entertainment purposes only.
This is LWB 1713 AM last warning broadcast. If you can hear this, conditions have already escalated beyond control. This is WKRF 98.1 Palmetto County Community Radio. My name is Daniel Morrow. I'm the overnight and early morning host here, and I've been behind this mic for 11 years. If you're just tuning in, it is 5:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, April the 22nd. Normally at this hour, I'd be running weather and crop reports. Maybe a pre-recorded segment on manatee migration, local stuff, low-key stuff. That's what community radio is. But I need to let you know what's happening. About 40 minutes ago, I started getting calls. Not on the station line on my personal cell. First one was Dale Reddick. Dale runs the feed store out on Route 19. He said there was a glow on the southern horizon. Orange. Wide. He asked me if I knew about a controlled burn. I didn't. I told him I'd check. Second call was Patty from the school board office. Same thing. Glow to the south. She said she could smell it from her porch. Third call was from my wife. She was standing in our backyard with the dog at 5 in the morning, and she said the sky looked wrong. She said it looked like sunrise was happening on the wrong side. I called the Palmetto County Emergency Management line. No answer. That's not unusual for this hour, but it's worth noting. I called the Florida Forest Service non-emergency line. Automated message, callback estimated within 2 hours. I tried the county sheriff's dispatch. They picked up. The woman on the line, I believe her name was Linda, she said they were aware of reports of a brush fire south of the county line. She said it was being monitored. She said there were no evacuations at this time. I asked her how large it was. She paused. Then she said they didn't have that information yet. So here's what I know right now. There's a fire south of us. It's big enough that people can see the glow from 20 miles away, and nobody can tell me how big it is. I'll keep the station live. Stay tuned. It's now a little past 7. I want to give you some context about why I'm not brushing this off. This county has been in drought conditions since late January. The Keach-Byram Drought Index, that's the standard measure for fire risk in the state, hit 683 last week. That's on a scale of 800. For reference, anything above 600 is considered extreme. We're past that. The last measurable rainfall in Palmetto County was 31 days ago, a quarter inch. Before that, you have to go back to December for anything significant. The ground is powder. The palmettos are brown. The pine needles crunch when you walk on them like dry cereal. Everything is fuel. And we've had wind. Sustained winds from the southwest between 15 and 25 miles per hour for the last 3 days, with gusts reported up to 35. That's not storm wind, but it's enough. It's more than enough. I've lived in Florida my whole life. I've covered brush fires on this station more times than I can count. Every spring you get them, somebody's burn pile gets loose, lightning catches a stand of pine, a power line arcs. It's part of life here. Most of the time they burn a few dozen acres, maybe a few hundred, and the Forest Service gets a handle on it. You might see some smoke, you might smell it on the wind, that's it. But conditions right now are not normal conditions. The state climatologist said last month that we're in the worst drought in 25 years. The governor declared a state of emergency back in February, not for the fires specifically, but for the dry conditions statewide. Over 30 counties have active burn bans. Ours is one of them. I talked to Rick Monroe about 20 minutes ago. He's a retired forester, lives out off Cypress Creek Road. He said the fuel moisture content in the underbrush around his property is probably at single digits. He said that's the kind of number where fire doesn't spread, it runs. His word, runs. The sky to the south is a dull orange-brown now. It doesn't look like sunrise anymore. It looks like a bruise. I've got the scanner on in the booth. I'm monitoring. I'll let you know what I hear. Stay close to the radio. All right. It's 8:15. I just got off the phone with Tommy Batts. Tommy's the public information officer for the Palmetto County Emergency Management Office. He returned my call from earlier. Here's what he told me. There are currently 3 active wildfires burning in the area south and southwest of the county. The largest is designated the Juniper Creek Fire. It was first reported at approximately 1:30 a.m. this morning by a resident in Harmon County, which is the county immediately to our south. The cause is under investigation, but preliminary reports suggest a downed power line, possibly the result of wind damage to aging infrastructure along a rural stretch of State Road 55. As of 7 a.m., the Juniper Creek Fire was estimated at approximately 2,200 acres. Tommy said containment was at 0%. I asked him to repeat that. He did. 0% contained. The second fire is smaller, about 300 acres, burning in a wildlife management area southwest of us near the Baker County line. The third is unconfirmed. They're getting reports of smoke from a separate location but haven't been able to get aerial confirmation yet due to the existing smoke cover. I asked Tommy about evacuations. He said none have been ordered for Palmetto County. Harmon County has issued a voluntary evacuation advisory for residents within 5 miles of the Juniper Creek origin point. He said that advisory affects roughly 200 homes. I asked him about resources. He said the Florida Forest Service has dispatched 2 tractor plow units and a helicopter. He said they've requested mutual aid from 3 surrounding counties. He said the conditions are, and this is his word, challenging. I pressed him a little. I said, Tommy, is this bad? And he gave me one of those answers that people in official positions give. He said the situation is fluid and they're monitoring it closely, and residents should stay alert and have a plan. I've known Tommy for 8 years. He coached my son's t-ball team. He's not an alarmist, but I could hear something in his voice that I don't usually hear. Not panic, just tightness. Like he was holding back the edges of a bigger sentence. After we hung up, I pulled up the satellite imagery on my laptop. The smoke plume from the Juniper Creek Fire is clearly visible. It's moving northeast. That's toward us. Let me be clear about what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to cause alarm. I'm a community radio host. I play bluegrass on Saturday mornings. I'm not a crisis reporter. But I think you deserve to know what's happening in real time, and right now, I don't think anyone else is telling you. The wind hasn't shifted, the rain forecast shows nothing for the next 7 days, and there's a fire the size of 2,000 football fields burning south of us with 0 containment. Keep your phone charged. Know where your important documents are. Don't leave yet, but be ready. It's just past 10. I stepped outside the station about 15 minutes ago to check the air. I want to describe it for you. The sky is not right. Normally you can see blue through the pine canopy behind the station. Right now the sky is a uniform off-white, the color of old paper. There's no definition to the clouds. No sun, just a flat, bright haze that hurts your eyes if you look up too long. And the smell. I grew up with burn smell. Controlled burn smoke has a particular quality, woody, dry, almost pleasant if you're used to it. It smells like autumn in other states. What I'm smelling right now is different. It's heavier, there's a chemical edge to it. I think that's the underbrush, the palmetto and wax myrtle and all the resinous stuff that's been baking in this drought for months. It doesn't smell like a campfire. It smells like something that shouldn't be burning is burning. My eyes are watering. The air quality, I don't have a monitor, but I can tell you it's poor. The haze is visibly thicker than it was an hour ago. I'm watching the road out front. Traffic is normal, maybe a little lighter than usual, a few more trucks than cars. I saw one family go by in a loaded down SUV with what looked like plastic bins strapped to the roof. Maybe they're moving, maybe not, but it caught my eye. The scanner's been busy. I'm hearing a lot of chatter about resource allocation units being reassigned, water supply points being established. There's mention of a staging area being set up at the Harmon County Fairgrounds. That's about 30 miles south of here. There's a particular kind of radio traffic that changes when things are getting worse. It gets faster. The pauses between transmissions get shorter. Voices stop being conversational and start being procedural. That shift started about 40 minutes ago. I'm going to stay on air. I've canceled the rest of today's programming. This is what we're doing now. It's 12:40 p.m. I need to update you immediately. The Juniper Creek fire has crossed State Road 55. That was supposed to be a natural containment line, 4 lanes of asphalt with cleared shoulders on both sides. The fire jumped it. Multiple spotting events reported, which means burning embers are being thrown ahead of the main fire front by the wind and starting new ignitions on the other side. One of those spot fires has apparently merged with the main body of the fire. The estimated acreage as of noon is now 4,800 acres. That's more than double what it was 4 hours ago. I just got this from Tommy Batts at Emergency Management. He called me this time. Didn't wait for me to call him. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for southern Palmetto County. Specifically, all residents south of County Road 12, east of Choctaw Creek, and west of the Withlacoochee River. If you are in that zone, you need to leave now. The designated shelter is Palmetto County High School on Route 19. The Red Cross is en route to set up operations there. I'm going to say that again. If you live south of County Road 12, between Choctaw Creek and the Withlacoochee River, there is a mandatory evacuation order in effect right now. This is not voluntary. Pack what you need: medications, documents, water, phone chargers, and go north. The high school will be open by the time you get there. Tommy said the fire's rate of spread has accelerated significantly. He used a number I had to ask him to repeat. He said the fire is moving at approximately 1 mile per hour through the pine flatwoods. That might not sound fast, but think about it. In the time it takes you to pack your car and argue about what to bring, the fire has moved a mile. And it's not a straight line, it's a front, a widening front. He also told me something else. The third fire I mentioned earlier, the one they couldn't confirm, it's confirmed now. It's burning roughly 8 miles west of the Juniper Creek fire in the Big Cypress Swamp area. Approximately 600 acres, driven by the same southwest wind. They don't have resources on it yet. The Florida Forest Service is prioritizing the Juniper Creek fire because of the populated areas in its path. So, let me lay this out for you. We have 3 fires burning in a rough arc to our south and southwest. The largest is nearly 5,000 acres, and growing, it's crossed a major road. It's heading northeast. The wind is not changing. The humidity at the Palmetto County Airport Weather Station, which I can pull up from here, is reading 14%. 14 in Florida. That's desert air. I've been hearing scattered reports on the scanner of visibility dropping on roads south of the county. Smoke is settling into low-lying areas. If you're driving, turn on your headlights and slow down. Do not stop on the roadway. If visibility drops, suddenly pull off as far as you safely can and stay in your vehicle with the windows up and the recirculation on. I know this is a lot. I'm trying to give it to you straight. Keep listening. It's 2 to 15 now. The wind picked up about 30 minutes ago. I can hear it against the station building. The flag out front is fully extended and snapping hard. The National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning for Palmetto, Harmon, Baker, and Columbia counties, effective immediately through Wednesday at 8 p.m. The warning cites sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusts up to 45, relative humidity between 10 and 20%, and I'm reading this directly, critically dry fuels. They're calling conditions extremely favorable for a rapid fire spread. I want to explain what wind does to a wildfire because I think a lot of people picture fire as something that burns in one direction. It doesn't. Wind pushes the fire, yes, but it also feeds it. Fire needs oxygen. Wind is oxygen delivery. When you get sustained high winds into a fire that's already burning hot in dry fuel, the fire doesn't just move faster. It changes behavior. It goes from burning along the ground to climbing up into the canopy. Once it's in the canopy, the crowns of the trees, it can move at speeds that are genuinely hard to believe. Crown fire can outrun a person, it can outrun a car on a dirt road. Rick Monroe, the retired forester I mentioned earlier, he called me back about 20 minutes ago. He's watching the smoke column from his property. He said the column has changed character. Earlier, it was a broad, diffuse layer, the smoke spreading out and settling. Now he says there's a defined convection column. That means the fire is generating its own weather. When a fire gets hot enough, it creates an updraft so powerful that it pulls air into itself from all directions. It can create its own wind. It can pull embers up thousands of feet and throw them miles ahead. Rick said he's seen one of those before. In '98, the Florida firestorm. He was a young forester then, working the Flagler County fires. He said it was the only time in his career he saw a fire jump an interstate highway. He paused after he said that. Then he said, and I'm quoting, "Daniel, this one's going to be worse." I didn't ask him to explain. I think the explanation is in the numbers. In '98, the drought index was around 700. We're at 683 now, but the wind is stronger, and the fuel load, all those dead trees from Hurricane Helene in '24 that never got cleaned up, it's worse. It's so much worse. The sky has changed again. It's darker now, a deep amber. The sun is visible as a flat red disk through the haze, like looking at it through smoked glass. It's 2:15 inches the afternoon, and the light looks like 7 p.m. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've never stayed on air for a continuous broadcast before today. I don't plan to stop. I need to pause the updates for a moment and talk about what's been happening on the phone lines. Since about 1 o'clock, the station's call-in line has been ringing non-stop. I can only take one at a time. This is a two-person operation on a good day, and my producer Lisa went home at noon to get her kids. It's just me. The calls are from people who are scared. That's the truth of it. Some of them are looking for information I don't have. Some of them are asking me to confirm rumors that the fire has reached a specific road, that the power is going to be shut off, that the shelter at the high school is already full. I'm doing my best to confirm or deny what I can. I cannot confirm everything, and I refuse to pass along unverified information. If I tell you something on this broadcast, it's because I've checked it against at least one reliable source. But I want to share some of what people are telling me, because I think it matters. A woman named Gloria called from Saw Palmetto Estates, which is a mobile home community about 12 miles south of the station. She said she's 74 years old, and she lives alone. She said she saw the evacuation order on the news, but she doesn't drive. She asked me if someone was coming to get her. I gave her the county's transportation assistance number. I don't know if she got through. The lines are reportedly overwhelmed. A man called from a ranch off Highway 41. He said he's got 14 horses and no trailer large enough to move them all at once. He asked me what he's supposed to do. I told him to call the Agricultural Extension Office. He said he'd been on hold for 40 minutes. A father called. He said his two kids are at a daycare center on the south side of town. He works 20 miles north. He wanted to know if the roads going south were still open. I told him yes. As of my last information, they were. He hung up before I could finish. These are real people dealing with this right now. This is not abstract. This is not a news graphic. And I have to tell you something about the way these calls feel. In the morning, people were curious. They were asking questions the way you ask about a thunderstorm. Is it coming our way? Should I worry? By noon, the tone shifted. People were asking practical questions. Where do I go? What do I bring? Now, at 3 p.m., the calls have a different quality. There's urgency. There are tremors in voices. People are rushing through sentences. A woman hung up mid-sentence because she heard a siren outside. The scanner traffic is nearly continuous now. I'm hearing unit designations I don't recognize, which means out-of-county resources are arriving. I heard one transmission reference a Type 1 Incident Management Team. I looked that up. A Type 1 team is the highest level of incident management in the National Response Framework. They're deployed for the most complex, highest priority incidents. That's what this is now. I also want to note, and I'm telling you this not to alarm you, but because you should know the wind hasn't shifted. It's still from the southwest. Every weather model I can find shows it staying from the southwest through at least Thursday. The fire is still moving toward us. It's 3:45. I just went up on the station roof. We have a flat section up there where the antenna maintenance access is. I probably shouldn't have gone up, but I needed to see. The southern horizon is gone. There's no tree line, no distinction between land and sky. It's a wall of smoke, dark at the base and dirty orange above, and it stretches as far as I can see in both directions, east to west, unbroken. The top of the smoke column, if there is a top, is lost in a general murk that covers the entire sky. I could see something else. Below the main smoke layer, closer to the ground, there are pulses of brighter orange, not continuous, intermittent, rhythmic, almost, flaring and fading. That's the fire front. It's visible from here. The station is roughly 15 miles from the last reported northern edge of the Juniper Creek fire. If I can see active flame glow from 15 miles, the fire is producing an enormous amount of energy. That's not a brush fire. I don't know what to call it. A firestorm feels dramatic. But that's the word Rick used when I called him again from the roof. The air up there was hard to breathe. Not from heat, it's only about 88 degrees. But the particulate matter is heavy. I could taste it. Ash is falling. Not a lot, not like snow, but a fine gray dust that settles on surfaces. There's a thin film of it on the station satellite dish. On the railing, on the back of my hand when I held it out. I looked north, away from the fire, and the sky is clearer, but not clean. The smoke is already overhead. It's spreading in the upper atmosphere. I don't think there's going to be clean air anywhere in this county by tonight. When I came back inside, I checked the air quality index for our area on the EPA's monitoring site. It's reading 287. That's categorized as very unhealthy. The recommendation is that everyone should avoid all outdoor physical activity. People with respiratory conditions should remain indoors with windows and doors sealed. If you have asthma, COPD, or any breathing condition, please stay inside. If you have an air purifier, turn it on. If you don't, you can make a basic filter by taping a furnace filter to a box fan. It's not perfect, it's something. I'm going to keep broadcasting. The ash is getting into the booth through the ventilation. I've taped a t-shirt over the intake vent. Low-tech solution, but we're past being picky. It's 8:30 p.m., night came early, or maybe it didn't come at all, I honestly can't tell. The light just shifted from amber to a deep bruised red, and then to a darkness that isn't quite black. It has a color to it, a dirty brown-red glow from the south that shifts and pulses. I've been on air now for nearly 15 hours. Lisa called an hour ago and said she's at the shelter with her kids. She offered to come back. I told her to stay. My wife Sarah texted me. She's at her sister's place in Ocala, about 60 miles northeast. She took the dog and a suitcase. She asked me to leave. I told her I'd think about it. I haven't thought about it. I'm staying here. This station is the only local broadcast still transmitting specific information for this county. The big stations out of Jacksonville and Gainesville are covering the fires, but they're covering all of them, the whole state. They're not telling you which roads in Palmetto County are passable. They're not relaying the shelter locations. They're not taking calls from Gloria in Saw Palmetto Estates. So I'm here. Here's the latest. The Juniper Creek fire is now estimated at 11,200 acres. Containment is still reported at 0%. I want to be honest with you, I'm not sure the concept of containment even applies to what's happening. They're not building containment lines. They're conducting what the incident commander called point protection, trying to save specific structures and keep the fire off specific roads. They've given up trying to stop it. They're trying to steer it. The second fire, the one that was near the Baker County line, has grown to approximately 1,800 acres. And here's the part that made my stomach drop. The gap between the Juniper Creek fire and the second fire is now less than 4 miles. If they merge and the wind is pushing them toward each other, you'll have a single fire complex of 13,000 acres with no containment, moving through terrain that is functionally tender. I've been watching the scanner closely. The traffic has a quality now that I need to describe for you. It's not frantic. These are professionals. But there's a tightness to the transmissions requests for water resupply coming faster, requests for relief crews because the ones on the line have been there since dawn. I heard a transmission 15 minutes ago that stopped me cold. An engine captain on the southern line reported ember showers and said his exact words, "Structured defense is not tenable at this position. We are pulling back." Pulling back? Somewhere south of here, firefighters who went toward the fire are now coming back from it. The power has been flickering for the last hour. The station has a small backup generator, enough to run the transmitter and some basic equipment for about 12 hours. If the power goes, I'll switch over. You might lose me for a few seconds during the transition. Don't adjust your radio. I'll be back. The temperature outside has dropped to 79 degrees, but the humidity is still at 16%. The wind is still from the southwest, and now, through the wall of the building, I can hear something I've never heard from inside this station before. I can hear the fire. It's not close. It's not even that loud, but there's a low, continuous sound coming from the south. A hum, a pressure, like distant highway traffic that never changes speed. That's the sound of everything south of us burning. It's 10:45 p.m. I need to talk about the roads. State Road 55 southbound is closed. It has been since this afternoon. County Road 12 is closed east of the Choctaw Creek Bridge. Highway 41 south of the county line is closed in both directions. That leaves Route 19 north and Interstate 10 as the primary evacuation routes. Route 19 is reportedly jammed. I've gotten calls from people sitting in stop-and-go traffic heading north. One caller said she'd been moving at about 5 miles per hour for the last 40 minutes. She could see the glow in her rearview mirror. But here's what's really worrying me. The smoke is settling onto the roadways. Florida's topography is flat. There are no ridges, no valleys to channel smoke, but there are low spots, drainage areas, creek beds, areas where the land dips just a few feet. Smoke is heavier than air, especially when it cools at night. It pools in those low areas, and when it does, visibility drops to nothing. I mean nothing. Not reduced visibility, not 50 feet, 0. There was a pileup on I-75 years ago near Gainesville. Smoke from a brush fire mixed with fog and visibility went to 0 in a stretch of highway. Cars drove into the back of stopped cars at full speed. 10 people died. That's the kind of thing that happens when smoke meets road at night. I'm getting reports of near 0 visibility on sections of Route 19 south of Hatfield Road. The Highway Patrol has been attempting to manage it, but they're stretched across the entire county. I've heard scanner traffic about multiple accidents, fender benders mostly, but at least one rollover. If you are evacuating right now, please, drive slowly, keep your headlights on, low beam, high beams reflect off the smoke and make it worse. Keep your windows up. If you hit a wall of smoke and cannot see, do not slam your brakes. Pull off the road to the right as far as you can, put your vehicle in park, keep your seatbelt on, and wait. I know that's terrifying. It's safer than stopping in a travel lane. I don't want to sugarcoat this. Getting out is going to be difficult tonight, but staying in the evacuation zone is more dangerous than the road. The fire is moving. It's not going to stop overnight. Fires do sometimes lay down at night when humidity rises and temperature drops, but the humidity is not rising tonight. It's hovering at 16%. That's not going to moderate this fire at all. If you haven't left yet and you're in the evacuation zone, leave now. Take Route 19 north. Move slowly, stay patient, stay in your vehicle. If you cannot drive for any reason, medical, disability, no vehicle, call the Palmetto County Emergency Line at 555 to 0142. If you can't get through, call this station. I'll do what I can. I'm one person with a microphone, but right now that microphone is reaching every radio in this county. Let's use it. Midnight. Just past it. The Juniper Creek Fire and the Baker County Fire have merged. It's confirmed. I got this from Tommy Batts about 20 minutes ago. He called from the Emergency Operations Center, which has been activated to full capacity. The combined fire is being designated the Palmetto Complex. Total acreage is estimated at 14,500 acres. I'll say that again. 14,500. That's roughly 23 square miles. The fire front is approximately 8 miles wide. It's moving northeast at what the incident management team is calling a sustained rate of spread exceeding expectations. Tommy wouldn't give me a specific speed. He said the terrain and fuel variability make a single number misleading, but based on the acreage growth over the last 12 hours, you can do the math. This fire is consuming roughly 1,000 acres an hour. Let me put that in terms that mean something. 1,000 acres per hour is about 1.5 square miles per hour. The town of Palmetto Springs, where this station is located, is about 4 square miles. At that rate, and I understand rates change, but at that rate, a fire could move through this entire town in under 3 hours. We are approximately 12 miles from the current estimated fire front. At 1 mile per hour, that's 12 hours. But fire doesn't move at a constant speed. It accelerates when it hits certain fuels, when the wind gusts, when the terrain funnels it, and there's a corridor of unbroken pine flatwoods between the current fire edge and the southern boundary of Palmetto Springs. Tommy told me the incident management team is evaluating whether to expand the evacuation zone. He said a decision would likely come by 2 a.m. I asked him directly, Tommy, should people in Palmetto Springs be leaving? He gave me the official answer. He said no evacuation order has been issued for Palmetto Springs at this time. He said residents should remain prepared and monitor official channels. Then, off the record, and I know I shouldn't relay this, but I'm going to, he said, Daniel, if I lived on the south side of town, I wouldn't wait for the order. That's what I'm telling you. If you live on the south side of Palmetto Springs, or anywhere between town and the county line, please consider leaving now. Don't wait for the official order. Get ahead of the traffic, get ahead of the smoke, get north. The power went out about 15 minutes ago. The generator kicked in. I've got 12 hours of fuel. After that, I'll figure something out. The glow through the south-facing window of the studio is brighter than it was an hour ago. It lights up the wall in a shifting amber wash. It looks like there's a sunset outside that won't end. I'm going to keep going. Stay with me. It's 2:30 a.m. The order came through. Mandatory evacuation for all of Palmetto Springs, the entire town, effective immediately. All residents are ordered to evacuate north via Route 19 to designated shelters in Suwannee and Columbia counties. The Palmetto County High School shelter has reached capacity. The county fairgrounds shelter is in the smoke zone and is being relocated. New shelter locations are being established at Suwannee High School and the Columbia County Civic Center, both approximately 45 miles north. 45 miles. That's the distance they need to move the population to feel safe. The evacuation order also covers all unincorporated areas of southern and central Palmetto County. Tommy estimates that affects between 8 and 10,000 residents. I've been listening to the scanner traffic continuously. The fire has reached the Choctaw Creek drainage. Firefighters had been trying to use the creek as a natural fire break, but the creek is dry. The drought took it. What should have been a ribbon of water and wet soil is a ditch full of dried leaves and dead brush. The fire walked right across it. There's active structure defense happening in a neighborhood called Cypress Bend, about 6 miles south of town. I can hear the transmissions. Engines are working to protect houses. But the ember showers are intense burning material falling a quarter-mile ahead of the main front. Every ember that lands on a dry roof or a pile of dead pine straw is a potential new ignition. They can't catch 'em all. Nobody could. I just heard a transmission that said, and I want to get this right because I wrote it down, Cypress Bend Division reporting loss of structures on Magnolia Lane and Deer Run Court, multiple, residential, fully involved. Fully involved means the structures are completely engulfed. There's nothing left to save. They're burning. Those are houses. People's houses. Their kitchens. Their kids' bedrooms. The marks on the door frames where they measured their children's height. I need a second. All right, I'm here. I want to tell you what's happening on Route 19 because I've been hearing from callers. The northbound lanes are at a near standstill. The sheriff's office has opened the southbound lanes to northbound traffic in certain sections, making it essentially a one-way road going north. But the smoke is crossing the road in waves. Visibility is intermittent. People are driving through patches of clear air and then hitting walls of gray-brown nothing. One caller, I think his name was James or Jason, he was crying. Not loudly, just quietly, the phone shaking against his face. He said he could see fire on both sides of the road. Actual flame in the trees. He said it sounded like a freight train. He said his daughter was in the back seat asking why the sky was orange, and he didn't know what to say. I told him to keep driving, keep the windows up, keep moving north. I don't know if that was the right thing to say. I don't know if there's a right thing to say. What I know is this. The fire is now 5 miles from the southern edge of Palmetto Springs. The wind has not shifted. The humidity has actually dropped further. The last reading I saw was 11%. 11% relative humidity in Florida. I didn't know that was possible. If you are still in Palmetto Springs and you have not left, I am asking you, as a neighbor, and as someone who has been watching this unfold for 21 hours, please go. Please go now. I'm staying because this transmitter is the only thing connecting some people to information right now. But if you don't have a reason like that, go. 3:30 in the morning. I need to tell you something strange. The sound has changed. I mentioned earlier that there was a low hum from the south. A continuous, almost mechanical drone. That's been the background for hours now. I'd almost gotten used to it. But about 15 minutes ago, it changed. It got louder, obviously the fire's closer. But it's not just volume. The quality of the sound is different. There's a crackling underneath it, like static, on an enormous scale. And there are these surges moments where the sound swells like something inhaling, then it drops, then it surges again. I've read that large wildfires can create their own wind systems. The superheated air rises so fast that it pulls cooler air in at ground level, creating inflow winds that can reach 40, 50 miles an hour at the fire's base. That inflow feeds the fire, which heats more air, which rises faster, which pulls harder. It's a cycle that feeds itself. I think that's what I'm hearing. The breathing, the rhythm. It's the fire's own wind, pulsing as the convection column fluctuates. There's another sound layered over it, a popping. Not like gunfire, slower, more irregular. That's trees. pine trees, exploding. When the resin inside a pine trunk gets superheated, the tree can burst, the sap boils, the wood cracks open. Each pop is a tree that's been standing for 20, 30, 50 years, splitting apart in seconds. And under all of it, there's something I can't identify. A low vibration more felt than heard. It comes through the floor, through the chair, like standing too close to a subwoofer. I don't know what's causing it. Maybe it's the collective combustion of thousands of acres resonating through the ground. Maybe it's the air itself vibrating from the heat differential. I don't know. What I know is that this building is shaking slightly. The coffee in my mug has a tremor on its surface, and I can feel warmth now coming through the south wall. Not hot, not dangerous, but noticeable. The wall that faces south is warm to the touch. The station is a concrete block building. It was built in 1974. It's not going to burn easily, but it can burn. Everything can burn tonight. I taped up the vents. I sealed the gaps around the studio door with wet towels. The air in here is still hazy. I can see the smoke particles drifting through the light of the console. My throat is raw. My eyes sting even when I close them. The ash is heavier now. When I looked out the window a few minutes ago, there was ash on the glass like gray rain streaking sideways. Burned pieces of things that used to be somewhere else, leaves, bark, maybe parts of structures carried here on the wind. This is debris from someone's life falling on my window. I'm still here. I'm still broadcasting. It's 4:45 a.m. I can see it. Through the south window of the studio, past the parking lot, past the tree line, I can see the fire. Not the glow, not the reflection, the fire itself. A line of orange and white, and something that looks almost blue at the base, stretching across the visible horizon. It's in the trees. The crowns of the pines on the ridge about 2 miles south are lit up like torches. The sound is loud enough now that I have to raise my voice slightly over it to speak into the mic. There's a constant roar. The comparison people always use is a freight train. That's close, but it's not right. A freight train passes. This doesn't pass. It just gets louder. The temperature inside the studio has risen about 5 degrees in the last hour. It's 84 in here now. Outside, according to the sensor on the station roof, it's 92. At 5 in the morning, the ambient temperature is being elevated by the radiant heat from the fire front 2 miles away. Embers are falling in the parking lot. I can see them bright orange sparks drifting down at angles, carried by the inflow wind. Most of them wink out when they hit the asphalt. But one landed on the wooden fence at the edge of the property, and I watched it glow there, orange on gray wood, and for about 30 seconds nothing happened. Then a small curl of smoke rose from the wood. I went out with a fire extinguisher and hit it. The fence panel was already charring. I sprayed it down and came back inside. That was 2 minutes of exposure. My skin felt like I'd opened an oven door. The air outside is not breathable without a mask. I don't have a proper mask. I used the wet t-shirt again. The generator is holding. I have maybe 6 hours of fuel left. I've been rationing the lights, everything off except the console and the transmitter. The studio is dim. The loudest thing in the room is the equipment, hum, and, behind it, outside, that constant roar. I've received no new official updates in the last hour. I think the Emergency Operations Center is fully consumed with managing the evacuation and the fire response. Tommy hasn't called. I've tried calling him twice. No answer. The last scanner traffic I picked up clearly was a request for additional air resources at first light. That tells me they're planning to throw everything they have at this once the helicopters and tankers can fly. First light is in about an hour. But I don't know what first light looks like when the sky is already burning. I want to say something to anyone still listening. If you're in your car heading north, you're doing the right thing. If you're at a shelter, you're safe. If you're somewhere in between, keep going. Do not turn back. And if you're still in Palmetto Springs, if you're hearing my voice right now from inside a house in this town, I don't know what to tell you except that the fire is 2 miles south and closing. Get out. Get out now. I'm staying until I can't. 6:15 a.m. This is Daniel Morrow, WKRF 98.1. I am still broadcasting. The fire entered the southern neighborhoods of Palmetto Springs approximately 45 minutes ago. I know this because I watched it happen. From the roof I went up one more time, against every instinct telling me not to. I could see the tree line at the southern edge of town become the fire. It didn't happen gradually. The fire hit the pine stand along Dogwood Lane, and within minutes the Crowns were fully involved. Then, the houses. The roofs caught first pine straw in the gutters, dried palm fronds on the shingles. One by one, then faster. I could see 7 or 8 structures burning simultaneously. The flames from the trees merged with the flames from the roofs and walls, and it became a single bright mass that was too intense to look at directly. The heat reached me on the roof from almost a mile away. It was like standing near a bonfire, except the bonfire was a neighborhood. There were still vehicles on the roads. I could see headlights moving on Route 19, heading north. Thank God for that, people are still getting out. But the smoke in town is now so thick that I could only see the headlights as dim orange points crawling through gray nothing. The power grid in the southern part of town is gone. I can see, or could see, before the smoke closed in, that the power lines on Dogwood and Pine Street are down. Some of them were burning. Transformers were popping with bright blue-green flashes that looked alien against the orange. I need to stop describing what I saw and tell you what this means. Palmetto Springs is burning. Not all of it, not yet. The fire entered from the south and is moving through the residential neighborhoods along the southern and southwestern edge. The commercial district on Route 19 has not been reached as of my last visual check, but embers are falling throughout the town. Any structure with combustible material on or near it is at risk. The station is in the northern part of town, about 1.5 miles from the current northern edge of the active burning. That 1.5 miles includes houses, a church, the elementary school, a strip mall, and a lot of dry vegetation along Palmetto Creek, which, like Choctaw Creek, is dry. I'm going to be very direct with you. I may need to leave this station in the near future. If the fire reaches the northern commercial area, I cannot stay. The building will hold for a while its concrete block, but the equipment, the fuel in the generator, the transformer outside, all of that is combustible. And if the fire surrounds the building, even concrete block becomes an oven. If I go off air, it's because I've had to leave. I will try to give you warning. I will tell you, I'm going. But if the signal just stops, if you're listening and suddenly there's nothing, it means I waited too long and had to run. I've moved my car to the front of the building, facing north on Route 19. The keys are in my pocket. I've got a bag with water, my phone, my wallet, and the hard drive backup of the station's archive, which seems like a stupid thing to save, but it contains 11 years of this community's voice, and I can't leave it. The roar outside is constant now. It fills the studio even through the sealed walls. The south wall is hot to the touch. Not warm, hot. I can't leave my hand on it for more than a few seconds. The ash is no longer falling, it's driving, horizontal, like gray sleet. I don't know how much longer I have here. Let me keep going while I can. I want to talk about something while I still have the presence of mind to say it clearly. When they talk about wildfires on the national news, they talk about acreage, structures destroyed, containment percentages, dollar amounts, all of it necessary, all of it insufficient. A structure destroyed. That's their phrase. Do you know what a structure is? A structure is a building, sure. But it's also the kitchen where someone learned to make their grandmother's cornbread. It's the garage where a father taught his kid to change a tire. It's the closet where every Christmas decoration lived in labeled bins, It's the bathroom mirror where a teenage girl practiced smiling before her first day at a new school. A structure destroyed. 53 structures were reported destroyed in Palmetto County as of midnight. That number is going to be much higher by the time the sun comes up, if the sun is even visible today. Each one of those is a family's entire physical world. Their insurance papers, their photo albums, their children's artwork on the refrigerator, the pencil marks on the door frame. I keep thinking about the pencil marks. You measure your child's height on the first day of school every year. You write the date and their name in pencil on the frame of the kitchen door. You watch the marks climb higher. You point to the lowest one when they're 16 and say, "Look how little you were," and they roll their eyes. When a house burns, when it really burns, the way these houses are burning, in a fire this hot, there is nothing left. Not fragments, not foundations with memories in the rubble, ash, white ash and twisted metal and the cracked slab of the foundation. The pencil marks on the doorframe don't survive. They cease to exist. They go from being the most permanent record of your child's growth to nothing in the span of minutes. I don't think people understand that. I don't think I understood it until I watched it happen from a rooftop an hour ago. The totality of it, the completeness. Fire doesn't damage. Fire erases. And it's not just homes. The Baptist Church on Cypress Road, I've been told it's burning. That building was built in 1952. My mother was baptized there. The library on Pine Street, I don't have confirmation, but it's in the fire's path. Palmetto Elementary. The VFW Hall. The feed store where Dale Reddick works, where I started this broadcast yesterday by talking about a phone call from Dale. I tried calling Dale about an hour ago. No answer. I'm sure he's evacuated. I'm sure he's fine. But his store, 60 years of agricultural history in that building, seed catalogs from the 1970s, a wooden counter worn smooth by 1 million transactions. I know that sounds sentimental for a feed store. It's not sentimental, it's real. That counter was real, and soon it won't be. I'm sorry. I need to focus. There's more to tell you. It's almost 8 in the morning, Wednesday. I've been on air for over 26 hours. Something just happened that I need to report. About 10 minutes ago, the roar stopped. Not gradually, it just cut. One moment the building was vibrating with that constant deep sound, and the next moment, silence. Relative silence. I could hear the generator. I could hear the hum of the equipment. I could hear my own breathing. The first thought I had was that the fire had passed, that somehow the front had moved through and was now north of the station, pushing away from me. But that didn't make sense. I'd just been watching the glow through the south window getting brighter, not dimmer. Then I looked at the weather station readout. The wind had dropped to 0, absolutely still, and the temperature had jumped. It went from 94 degrees to 102 in the span of about 7 minutes. I think I understand what happened. The fire's convection column, the superheated air rising from the fire, has gotten so powerful that it's disrupted the regional wind pattern. The southwest wind that had been driving the fire for 2 days has been overcome by the fire's own circulation. The air at ground level has gone calm because it's being pulled upward into the column. This is not good news. This is the opposite of good news. When a fire's convection column dominates the surrounding atmosphere, the fire stops being driven by external wind and starts creating its own weather. It can change direction. It can throw embers in any direction. It can create downdrafts that slam superheated air to the ground miles ahead of the visible flame front. Rick told me about this. It's called a pyrocumulonimbus event. The fire generates a thunderstorm-like cloud above it, fueled by its own heat and moisture from burning vegetation. That cloud can produce lightning, which starts new fires. It can produce extreme downdrafts, which spread the fire in unpredictable directions. And it can produce something Rick called a fire tornado, which is exactly what it sounds like. The silence outside is worse than the noise. The noise told me where the fire was and which direction it was moving. The silence means the fire is reorganizing. It's gathering itself. I can feel the heat through every wall now. Not just the south wall, the west wall. The floor is warm through my shoes. The studio feels like the inside of a car that's been sitting in a parking lot in August. I'm going to keep broadcasting, but I need to acknowledge something out loud. I may have stayed too long. I may have waited too long. 8:22 a.m. I'm making the call. I'm leaving. Here's what changed my mind. About 3 minutes ago, I heard a sound from the back of the building from the east side. A cracking, popping sound. I went to the hallway and looked through the window in the back door. The pine trees behind the station are on fire, not embers on the ground, the canopy. The crowns of 3 tall slash pines are burning with that bright orange I've been watching all night, and the flames are 20-30 feet above the treetops. The fire didn't come from the south. It came from the east. An ember shower must have carried over the station and ignited the trees behind it, which means the fire is now north and east of me as well as south. I have a window. Route 19 heading north still appears passable. I can see the road from the front of the building, and while there's heavy smoke, there's no visible flame. But that window is closing. I'm going to grab my bag. I'm going to go to the car. I'm going to drive north. Before I do, I need to say some things. To anyone still listening, this is WKRF 98.1 Palmetto County Community Radio. My name is Daniel Morrow. I've been your overnight host, your Saturday morning bluegrass DJ, your weather and crop reports guy, your community bulletin board for 11 years. This station has been part of this town since 1974. 52 years. I don't know if this building will be here when the fire passes. I don't know if the transmitter will survive. I don't know what Palmetto Springs is going to look like when we come back. But we will come back. To Dale and Patty and Gloria and Rick and Tommy and Lisa and all the people who called in and all the people who just listened, thank you. Thank you for trusting this signal. Thank you for staying with me through the night. To Sarah, I love you. I'm coming. I'm sorry I didn't leave sooner. I'm leaving now. To anyone in the path of this fire who can still hear me go north, don't stop. Don't look back. The things you left behind are things. You are not a thing. You are irreplaceable. Everything else can be rebuilt, or mourned, or let go. You cannot be replaced. The generator's fuel gauge reads about 2 hours. I'm going to leave the transmitter running. I'll leave the mic open. You'll hear the generator hum and the sound of the fire, and eventually maybe you'll hear nothing, but the signal will go out for as long as it can. This is Daniel Morrow, WKRF 98.1. I'm going off mic now. I'm going to the car. North on Route 19. God willing, I'll talk to you again. I'm recording this on my phone. I'll upload it to the station's system if the system still exists when this is over. Consider it the mobile extension of the broadcast. I'm in the car, heading north on Route 19. Windows up. Air on recirculate. Headlights on low beam. The smoke is dense. I can see maybe 75 feet ahead of me. The road is mostly empty. Most people evacuated hours ago. I passed 2 cars going north. 1 truck going south, which I don't know why. Maybe someone going back for something. Maybe someone who doesn't understand what's behind me. I looked in the rearview mirror once. Just once. The sky behind me is a wall of amber and black. The smoke column, if you can even call it a column anymore, it's more of a ceiling, covers everything from the southern horizon upward. It looks like the sky is collapsing. The ash is so heavy it's accumulating on the windshield. The wipers are smearing it. I'm using the washer fluid and the wipers together, but the fluid is leaving streaks of gray-brown on the glass. It's like driving through dirty snow. The air inside the car tastes like smoke even with recirculate on. The car's cabin filter is doing what it can. My throat is wrecked. My eyes feel like sandpaper. I'm passing through the stretch between Palmetto Springs and Jennings Crossing. This is all pine, flatwoods, and palmetto scrub, both sides of the road. In the normal world, it's a pretty drive. Green canopy over the road, Spanish moss, woodpeckers. Right now the trees on the left side of the road are burning, not all of them intermittent, like spots of brightness in the gray. I can feel the heat through the driver's side window. I'm driving through a fire. I should be terrified, and I am, somewhere underneath. But there's a numbness that's settled over me. 27 hours of adrenaline does something to a body. It doesn't make you calm, it makes you mechanical. Turn the wheel, press the gas, check the mirror, wipe the windshield, keep moving. I just passed a road sign. It said Suwannee County, 22 miles. 22 miles to the county line, 22 miles to somewhere that isn't burning. The speedometer says I'm doing 40. I want to go faster. The visibility won't let me. Something just landed on the hood of the car, a piece of burning bark. It flared bright orange against the white paint and then blew off in the slipstream. Keep driving, Daniel. Keep driving. It's Thursday morning. I'm at the Columbia County Civic Center. It's been designated as a regional shelter. There are about 400 people here. I slept for 3 hours on a cot between two families I've never met. A woman named Maria gave me water and a packet of crackers. Her daughter drew a picture of a dog and gave it to me. I think because she saw me looking at my phone at photos of our dog and wanted me to feel better, that broke me in a way I wasn't expecting. Sarah drove down from Ocala. She arrived about an hour after I did. She didn't say anything when she saw me. She just held on. Here's what I know as of this morning. The Palmetto Complex fire has burned an estimated 31,000 acres. Palmetto Springs sustained significant damage. I don't have exact numbers, but the reports coming in suggest that large portions of the southern and central neighborhoods are gone, destroyed. The commercial strip on Route 19 sustained heavy damage. The Baptist Church is confirmed destroyed, the elementary school, the VFW Hall, the station, WKRF. I haven't confirmed this with my own eyes, but a firefighter I spoke to here at the shelter told me the concrete block shell is standing, but the interior is gutted. The roof collapsed from the heat. The transmitter is gone. I don't know when the signal died. I left the mic open when I left. Maybe someone heard it. The hum of the generator gradually overtaken by the sound of fire, and then nothing. Containment is still only at 15%. The fire is burning northeast into the Osceola National Forest. There's less populated area in that direction, which is the only reason the casualty count is as low as it is. As of this morning, 2 confirmed fatalities. A volunteer firefighter in Nassau County, James Kevin Cruz, who I'm told suffered a medical emergency while on the fire line, and an elderly woman in southern Palmetto County who did not evacuate. Her name hasn't been released. I keep thinking it might be Gloria. I hope it's not Gloria. The resources being thrown at this are enormous. Type 1 incident management team on scene. Military helicopters. Air tankers from as far as California. Over 2,000 firefighters from 14 states. The governor has requested a federal disaster declaration. FEMA is mobilizing, and still the fire burns. Because the wind came back, because the humidity is still in the teens, because there are 100,000 acres of dried-out hurricane-damaged forest that haven't burned yet, and the fire knows it. I'm sitting here in a civic center gymnasium typing this on my phone, and I can still smell the smoke. I can still taste it. I think I'll taste it for a long time. People here are walking around with a particular expression. I keep seeing it. It's not panic. It's not grief exactly. It's the look of someone who is trying to figure out what reality is now. Where they live, what they own, who they are when the place that made them is ash. A man in a Red Cross vest asked me this morning if I needed any assistance. I told him I was fine. Then I sat down on the gym floor and cried for 15 minutes. I think that's honest. I think that's what this is. I want to close this by talking about something that happened about an hour ago. I was sitting outside the shelter, trying to get some air that didn't taste like a gymnasium, and a man walked up to me. He was in his 50s, wearing a Palmetto Springs Fire Department t-shirt that was streaked with soot. His eyebrows were singed. His hands were bandaged. He said, "Are you the radio guy?" I said, "I was." He said, "I was in my truck on Route 19 Tuesday night, 4 in the morning. Couldn't see the road, couldn't see anything. Smoke everywhere. I was about to stop and just sit there and wait, and I heard your voice on the radio." He said, "You told me to keep driving. You said keep the headlights on low beam and keep moving north." He said, "I kept driving." He didn't say anything else. He just looked at me for a second, then nodded and walked back inside. I don't know his name, I don't know what he lost, but he heard the signal when he needed it. That's what a radio station is. That's what it's always been. Not the building, not the transmitter, not the console or the generator, or the concrete block walls. It's the signal. It's a human voice reaching through the dark and the smoke and saying, "I'm here. You're not alone. Keep going." The building is gone. The transmitter is melted. The archive, I have the hard drive in my bag, so at least there's that. But WKRF will come back. We'll find a new transmitter. We'll find a new building. We'll get back on the air. Because the fire took the structures. It took the roads, and the trees, and the churches, and the feed stores, and the pencil marks on the door frames. It took so much. It reduced so much to ash. But it didn't take the signal. The signal is still here. This is Daniel Morrow, WKRF 98.1, Palmetto County Community Radio. We'll be back on the air.